I'd like to welcome everyone to the June 17th Town Board meeting. Please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. John Baisley, first ward.
Bill Carlos, second ward.
Joe Conti, third ward.
Michael Safone, fourth ward.
Joe Lepore, fifth ward.
Ann Shershen, sixth ward.
Todd Tancredi, supervisor.
Felicia Salvatore, town clerk.
Jim Nelson, attorney for the town.
Okay. We had one public hearing on the agenda tonight. It was a property maintenance public hearing, but that's been withdrawn due to compliance. So what I'd like to do, we have a special proclamation we'd like to read before we begin the meeting, so I'm just going to go up front. Bill, would you and Mary come on up? They say behind every successful man there's a good woman, so this is Bill Galbraith, obviously his wife Mary, and Bill has decided after 48 short years with the town to call it a day. So his last day is actually April 29th, or June 29th. So I had to kind of coerce him a little bit to come here tonight. He Bill's, you know, when they say they don't make them like they used to, Bill's a perfect example of that, and I mean that as a sincere compliment. Bill's just a great guy, great worker, does his job. If I didn't see him passing in the hallway, I wouldn't see him, which, you know, you would think, well, that's not so good, but from my office, sometimes that's good. So he's just a good worker, and, you know, we're going to miss you. We've got some other people that wanted to be here tonight to Bill to help you celebrate this night. So I want to ask them to come on in and join us tonight. We've got Colonel Bill Galbraith, Bill's son, and his grandson Christian, his son Scott, and wife Susie, and his daughter and her husband Carrie and Rob Calburn, and their daughter Madeline and son Carter. So this was a surprise for Bill. He didn't know they were going to join him here tonight. At least I think it was a surprise. We think it was, but so if it's not a surprise, make believe it is. We'll all feel a lot better about it. So your family wanted to be here, Bill. This is wonderful. They wanted to be here to help you celebrate. So I have a proclamation I'm going to read, and this is from the town board, Bill. It says, whereas the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie, on behalf of all residents and employees of the town of Poughkeepsie, does hereby salute William A. Galbraith on his retirement after 48 exemplary years of service. And whereas William A. Galbraith began his career with the town of Poughkeepsie on January 1st, 1967 as a police officer, serving 21 years and retiring as police sergeant on June 23rd, 1988. And whereas he then became automotive manager, where he has been directly responsible for maintenance, operations, and fleet management at the town of Poughkeepsie Auto Center for the past 27 years. Now therefore be it resolved, this town board does hereby confirm upon William A. Galbraith its highest commendation for the manner in which he has performed his duties at the town of Poughkeepsie with sincere gratitude and appreciation for his professionalism and dedication. Thank you, Bill.
I'd just like to say that I've enjoyed for all these 48 years serving the public. If you enjoyed doing it, and the supervisor will back this up, but probably about 5 years ago, by accident, Verizon put the Auto Center phone number in the book as the town of Poughkeepsie number. And and I took thousands of phone calls.
Not all of them complimentary. You'd be surprised.
I did have people call back and say, you helped me better than the person you sent me to. So it was, it was just a compliment. So I thank everyone for this. It was a wonderful time.
I think he's telling us he's thinking about it current politics now. There you go.
No, thank you so
Congratulations.
much.
Thank you so much for all you've done.
Thank you.
Billy can see you, buddy. Come on.
Okay. Now we have to get down to business. I'm going to read through the agenda, and then we'll take questions on agenda items. As I said, agenda item number 1 has been removed. Item number 2 is authorize supervisor to sign a maintenance agreement with Interact Public Safety for the police's mobile data computer system. 3 and 4 are the appointments of police assistants. 5 is to authorize supervisor to sign local development agreement with EFG DRA Heritage LLC. 6 is to approve a referral for lead agency status for Creek Bend Apartment. 7 is to set the public hearing date for a town code amendment, chapter 210-64. 8 is to authorize the supervisor to sign contract for some maintenance work on our Route 55 and Route 9 medians. 9 is to accept the resignation of a Historic Preservation Commission member. 10 is to set the public hearing for, actually 10 and 11, 12 are all set public hearing dates for unsafe buildings on Neems Way. 13 is to accept a certificate of completion for one of our planning board members, Peter Finelli. 14 is to set the public hearing date for property maintenance to Fairway. And then 15 is, again, set the public hearing date for property maintenance at 16 Ridge Road. 16A is to approve, actually 16A and 16B are the approval of block parties, one at Hills Terrace, one at Orchard Park. And 17 is to set the date for a public hearing to amend Town Code Vehicle and Traffic. And then we have a few special consents. SC1 is to authorize the town clerk to advertise for bids for sanitary pipe TV inspections and cleaning. 2 is consent for lead agency for the Rosewood subdivision. 3 is just a notification of claim. We're going to refer that to legal. 4 is to authorize the supervisor to sign the community block grant agreement for 2016 through 18 with the county. And it's an amendment to the 2000 agreement, something that they've asked us to do. And SC5 is to approve a block party on East Bank Road. So I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for public comment on agenda items.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone here who would like to speak to the town board about an agenda item? Yes.
I'd like to speak on number 16.
Sure.
16? No,
I thought
no,
you
15.
might.
15, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I take it that's the inside of that, excuse me, that horseshoe curve, the brush and grass that grow up there and block the view of the people coming around that corner. Now you put this on for a public hearing.
Yes.
That's going to make it a long ways away. And I think this is a public safety type of thing, and it should be speeded up if you can.
All right. Well, that's we can certainly look at that, and if we can, we will. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that happens every year. The people
I
cut
know.
it once, and
I
then the
remember
next year it's right
yeah.
back where it was again.
I know. I remember you coming in the past about it, and I'll have Jim will look to see if we can consider this a public safety issue, and if we can, we'll do it sooner rather
Because
than
cars
later.
going around there, if a child is in the road, they can't see him,
Yeah.
and it's because of that horseshoe curve.
Yes, I understand. Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Casement.
Anybody else? Doreen?
Yeah, my comment/question on agenda item number 5, the local development agreement for the former psych center. So under 2.4, public funding, the second to last sentence makes no sense. And it's about the town having any, well, I'll read it to you. Notwithstanding the foregoing, the town shall have, not have, an affirmative duty hereunder to approve any application for such funding. So what does that mean? Section 2.4, it's the second to last sentence under public funding.
2.4.
So does the town have an affirmative duty, or does the town not have an affirmative duty when it comes to public funding?
Public funding, so would you say that,
Second to last sentence starts with not, paragraph, I'm sorry. There. Second to last sentence says, not. It starts with notwithstanding the foregoing.
notwithstanding the foregoing, the town shall not have an affirmative duty hereunder to approve any application for such funding, or
Right.
shall have the obligation to expeditiously.
Well, do you have a different copy, Todd, than was posted
I don't-
online?
I don't
Because
know,
online,
not that I'm aware of.
all right. Well, I copied it off. The town shall have,
come
not
on,
have, it says.
Yeah, I could be, I'm sure, maybe that's a typo. Neil might be able to
So what
clear
does
it up.
that
It's an extra word that doesn't belong there. It should be town shall not have.
Okay, so for the record, the town shall not have an affirmative duty.
That's what mine says, yeah, maybe it's
Okay,
it's
that's
another
not,
copy.
yeah, all right, okay, Helen. And it was hard to understand, are the rec fees being waived for this project? No. No? Okay.
What was hard to understand about it? Did you see it
Well,
in
yeah,
there?
I did see a section on here which, let's see, it says, this was under open space and recreational amenities, where it says, such assessment shall be the basis upon which the town board shall determine whether the project's recreational space and project open space are adequate in proportion to the impacts of the project on the public recreational resource of the town, and whether any fees in lieu of recreation land and/or open space preservation are required. So I wasn't sure what that meant.
I think it's probably
It's a
boilerplate
statement
language.
that the project developer has a right to come back to the town and basically make a case that they have provided for sufficient, or maybe not, sufficient on-site recreational amenities in support of the residential components of the project, and thereby seek to have the town either reduce or to not collect recreation fees on the basis that they had provided for sufficient recreational opportunities as part of their project. It's just simply kind of a statement of what the law already is.
Okay, so the possibility exists, but, okay.
I think that's the law, but.
It
Okay.
always
Right.
exists,
Yeah.
actually. Yep.
Okay. And then under student housing, exactly what is student housing? Is that like dormitories or?
Well, apartments for rent.
Well, no, it specifically says student housing, but there was no definition, and the town code doesn't have a definition of student housing, so I wasn't sure what that was, because
What paragraph are you in? It's in there.
I didn't write down the paragraph, but it talked about student housing, and where they talked about the number of units, because it said that single-family homes and student housing were not subject to the 3-bedroom limit, but then there was no description of what student housing was. Sorry, I didn't write down what section that was. I think it was like on page 6, maybe?
Let's see.
Oh, here it is. It's under, yes, it is page 6,
page
under
6.
residential uses. Under residential uses. Other than single-family homes or student housing, no dwelling unit shall contain more than 3 bedrooms. So I wasn't sure what student housing was, like, I don't know.
You got me
Again,
stumped.
Yeah, we haven't defined that yet, and that's probably something that will shake out
I
as
mean,
part of the
this
review process.
resolution we're looking at tonight, I mean, all that has to be still, discussed and determined. I mean, the
Yeah, no,
agreement.
I understand it still has to go before the planning board, but since it was in this agreement, and I was under the impression that the agreement was going to be voted on, that's why I was asking. So, okay, so we don't know what
I
student
don't.
housing is right now? Okay. All right. And then my only other comment under, it looks like for demolition and remediation, looks like they're, again, this was brought up in October 2014, looks like they are looking to pursue that prior to the project's master plan approval. And, back in October, Mr. Wilson said that, this is it's a segmented review. And bottom line is segmentation is not allowed under the state's Environmental Quality Review Act. And it does seem like it's a way to try to get around the rules and regulations. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Virginia?
Virginia Beakley regarding item number 5. As you probably all are aware, I'm a neighbor of this property, and so my main concern is the demolition, which will probably directly affect me at some point. Maybe not at first, because as I understand, they're going to work on the southern end of the site first, and the northern end will be later, but I'm still a neighbor to both in my book. So my concern is the demolition, the schedule of the demolition, and I'm not quite sure I understood what I was reading, because of course I didn't have a lot of time to review it, since I only saw it on Monday. But is the applicant going to have to come before you for each demolition, each series of demolitions? How will we neighbors be notified when demolition is going to take place? I want to make sure those things are still covered and not being waived in any form by this agreement.
They have to come to the town building department and get all the the regular approvals. They have to go through the whole process, just like they normally would for each individual one. And I don't know if the building department puts out a notification, but we certainly can make notifications so you know. We can follow up on that.
So the applicant will be coming before you for each demolition?
They have to go to
There's
the
not
building-
going to
they have
be
to go
a
to the building
blanket permit
department.
for all
No.
the southern demolition?
No.
And a blanket permit for all the northern demolition?
Each building in its entirety, and each section they're gonna do, has to go to the building department. Tim Sickles will be aware of it. We don't
That's
notify you.
That's what I thought I read.
No,
But
but if-
I just wanted to confirm
I don't
it.
know if they notify the neighboring residents, but Neil, do you know if they do?
No, I don't think so.
Well, we certainly can
It's
ask.
not part
him.
of the
We can
normal
make-
process,
Well,
but
if it
unless
make
the
you
town
happy, we can
police,
certainly do that.
unless the town police
I'll
want us
notify
all
you if you know.
calling and saying, are those gunshots or what? It might be a good idea to do that.
Since it's only a few residents up in that area, we certainly can try to notify them the best possible way.
Or make sure the Journal publishes it, or put it on your town website
Yeah,
under news.
that's a good idea.
There should be some way to just let us know,
Okay.
in case we miss a meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Virginia. Mr. Armstrong?
Number 3 and 4, are these new positions for the police
No,
assistant,
they're,
or are they filling old
They're
positions?
budgeted. Did we ever, I think they were one retirement, two retirements. Oh, yeah, come on up, chief. They're budgeted. I don't recall. I know we were trying to,
So they're technically replacement?
let me make sure. I'm not positive.
They're part-time positions in the department. It's already in the budget. We have a pool of part-time
We wanted
police
to create a
assistants
pool, yeah.
that share a certain number of hours each pay period, and they're not adding anything to the budget. This is already included. It helps us prevent having full-time police officers take these spots and they can
Right,
be out on the
okay, yeah.
street. So that's why we're doing that.
Good. Thanks,
Very
chief.
good. Thank you. My other thing is on these unsafe building public
Yeah.
hearings you're going to set.
Yeah.
Are these all new properties now that are in this category?
I don't know what
Outside
you.
of the ones that you've been doing already?
No,
Or that you've been
we've probably-
maintenance on and stuff like that?
These
or-
unsafe buildings aren't necessarily for maintenance. They're actually buildings that that have been empty for some time.
Been
We've tried to
abandoned
deal
or
with the
whatever.
bank we've tried boarding them up and securing them. They're in a secluded area, so we have neighborhood children, teenagers getting in them. So that's what these are about.
Well, you got a couple of property maintenance
Well, the
ones.
property
Those
maintenance-
Those would be new ones probably, that they're, the fact that they're listed?
Yeah,
Yeah?
yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? I see no one to make a motion to resume the rules?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, J, number 2.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to sign a maintenance agreement with Interact Public Safety Systems for maintenance service for police department server and mobile data terminals for the coverage period July 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2016. The total cost is $7,957. Be it further resolved that Interact has agreed to continue to provide the services at the contract rate of $7,957 per year. The Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie finds that the solicitation of alternative proposals for these services would not be in the best interest of the town. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Karen J. Kroom to the position of part-time police assistant with the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department at the grade 6, step 1 salary of $20.24 per hour, effective June 29, 2015, which appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 8 nor more than 26 weeks per civil service law. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Cindy L. DeCentillo to the position of part-time police assistant with the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department at a grade 6, step 1 salary of $20.24 per hour, effective June 29, 2015, which appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 8 nor more than 26 weeks per civil service law. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. All right, and this brings us to number 5. Before we read the resolution, I'd like to ask our development director to come on up, and the attorney we've hired to handle special counsel to work for us on this particular applicant, and they're going to give us some background and hopefully us and then the public maybe a better understanding of what's happening.
Well, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Neil Wilson, Development Director for the town. This is essentially the kickoff, if you will, for the redevelopment of the psychiatric center. And the process that you are about to engage in is unique from several standpoints. Starting with the way that the code is currently drafted. And we did this by design when we updated the code in 2007. It puts the town board, rather than the planning board, very much in the driver's seat to establish exactly what the development master plan for this project will be. The planning board still plays a very significant role as far as the details of the site plan, possible subdivision of properties and that sort of thing. But the way that the code is set up is that the town board is the one that approves the development plan in terms of sort of overall layout of buildings, residential and commercial densities, and those sorts of things. So it's very unique from that standpoint. And as I said, we did that by design when we drafted the updates in 2007. The other thing is the development agreement that is before you tonight, which was negotiated on behalf of the town with the developer. Michael Zarin and David Cooper are the attorneys at special counsel that we have brought in to assist us with, and I'll turn it over to Michael in just a minute. But the LDA creates a framework for discussion and future decision making. It does not bind the town to the particular development plan it's Exhibit A or Schedule A of the document. It doesn't bind the town to approve the zoning amendment that's in Schedule B. And you're not being asked to vote on those things tonight. What this is a framework for the process that we're about to engage in that frankly will probably take anywhere from 18 to 24 months to work through the environmental issues, work through the review of the project. So it's a fairly lengthy process, but given all the sort of the moving parts, if you will, between the it's a very large redevelopment project on a very, very important site in the town that was earmarked very early on for this special designation under the HRDD district that's in our zoning. But this creates sort of the pathway, and I'll turn it over to Michael to further describe that. But I also wanted to point out we have, in addition to Michael Zarin and David Cooper, who are as special counsel, essentially the tip of the spear in regard to the town's development review. They're overseeing the work of our other consultants. They're communicating with me regularly, as well as the supervisor and the town board. But we also had brought in the planning firm of AKRF. Nita Peak is here tonight as well. And of course, we will have Morris Associates continue in their ongoing role as consultants to the town for the engineering review. So I'm going to turn it over to Michael.
Good evening. My name is Michael Zarin. I'm with the law firm of Zarin and Steinmetz, and very excited to be here tonight. We do a lot of work in these, what we call these public-private partnerships, these really challenging, difficult projects, a lot of moving pieces. We represent a number of municipalities as special counsel. We've also acted and represented the developer in some of these. So we really understand and appreciate how complex and challenging they are. I mean, there's a number of psychiatric centers around the state, frankly, that are in the same position and trying to figure out how to reuse them and how to redevelop them. And I don't need to tell you, for those of you that have been through the history of this site, there's been a number of false starts. And, you know, one of the reasons is it's such a challenging project on numerous levels and many different respects. I think the town is fortunate. I think you have a very capable redeveloper here with sufficient resources, financial resources, and sophistication to make this happen. And I think most importantly, the resolve to make this happen. Neil and I and various consultants in town have been working with them now for a couple of months, and I think we've seen the commitment they have, and as well as the amount of resources they've already spent in just the initial planning for the project. The development agreement that we negotiated over the last couple of months was essentially a document, and I'll get into a little more the key terms of that. I think the developer is going to make a very small presentation on an outline of what the project, the conceptual plan looks like now. And I'll go over just the key terms of the development agreement and the procedures going forward after they speak. But I think it's important to just emphasize what Neil said. The development agreement really is the starting point for the project. It defines what the quote-unquote action is. So the concept plan that you'll see presented tonight and some of the zoning changes that are part of the development agreement, that's a proposal. That's all that is. I mean, it's a proposal that we, the town, are, by signing this agreement, say, yes, in principle and concept, we support this. And it's a good place to start the process. But as Neil said, this process is going to go through a considerable amount of public and technical review. And I'll get into that very shortly, but there are going to be numerous public hearings, just like tonight, a couple of the items that were raised. There's going to be many more items raised, and we're going to together modify the concept plan, the definitions of the zoning, and all those other things as that process flushes out, and you start getting feedback from the public, from your consultants. The developer starts presenting more of their studies, technical analysis, and the like, and this whole project and the zoning will evolve. That's the whole concept behind the secret process. We are committed to the town to forming a partnership. The only way that these projects ever get done is if the redeveloper and the municipality forms a partnership. That doesn't mean that anything in this agreement binds you. I mean, it binds you to act in good faith. It's a starting point, but based on the information that's going to come before you in the next year or so, you have the right to modify aspects of the project, deny it, or approve it without modifications. That's the discretion that this board has with respect to the development master plan. And the development master plan will define the project. Will be the zoning and the concept plan that will define the project. So I think that's very important that what you're voting on tonight is essentially to say, we want this project to go forward. We're committed to having something happen here. We like what the concept looks like. We like what the zoning looks like. And we're prepared to work in good faith over the next year or 18 months to bring this to fruition. And that's essentially today's vote. I'll get a little more technical, but that's essentially what you're doing today. So I know the redeveloper would like to make a short presentation, and then I'll just go over just about 5 or 6 of the key terms of the development agreement. I know you've all read it and are probably familiar with all the terms, and then just very, very quickly what are going to be some of the key milestone, both for the public in the process going forward, and then you have a resolution before you.
Thanks, Michael. Nick, are you going to speak on behalf? Okay, why don't you come on up, introduce yourself, introduce your team, and give us an overview of the project.
Yeah, George will take that, I think. Okay, thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Nick Manoia. I'm a managing partner at Diversified Realty Advisors. And we're here this evening on behalf of the joint venture that we have the current ownership of the property. The joint venture is between my firm, which is Diversified Realty Advisors, and Enviro Finance Group out of Denver, Colorado, otherwise known as EFG. This evening, I'd like to just make note of several members of the team that are here representing our project. The team will add members as we go because it does get to be quite a pack that is required to get a project like this through the approval process. But this evening we have Richard Cantor from T.N. Constantine Law Firm, co-counsel Peter Wise from the Del Bello Weingarten Wise Law Firm. Stuart Messinger from Chazen Engineering is here. Jim Constantine from LRK, our planner, is here. Arthur Schwartz from MWW, who is our PR firm, is here this evening. George Carfagno, who's the project director at DRA and vice president of our company. Noah Pillsbury and Keith Hardy, who are directors of business development for EFG. And Chris Brown is available from PVE Scheffler. So those members of our team are here this evening. Won't necessarily speak, but just wanted to acknowledge that they're here in case any questions arise. What I'd like to do is give a brief overview of who we are as a firm, just so that you have an understanding of who we are and what we do as a company, and how we made our way into the town of Poughkeepsie. Okay. So our background is approximately 25, almost 30 years of real estate development. We are primarily residential developers, but we touch all aspects of development from self-storage to office buildings to retail and industrial properties that we own. We are based in Summit, New Jersey. Interestingly enough, not necessarily by design, but maybe a little bit by default and somewhat by design, our largest development footprint is in New York State. I'm actually was born and raised in upstate New York. I'm from Binghamton originally. My family, and my entire family, still lives there today. We have current projects underway in the town of Newburgh. We have 160 residential units currently under construction there, just off of Route 384 and Route 87 by Stewart Airport. We have 270 units under construction in New Windsor, New York, currently in its first phase of construction. We have another project that we recently got approvals on in the town of Newburgh, which is another 160 units that will begin in late July. We obviously have the Hudson Heritage property, which we closed on in December of 2013. And we have a very large project, which my partner John Stein is attending a zoning hearing this very evening in Sleepy Hollow, New York, which is approximately $1 billion project on the Hudson River. It's fully approved and just about ready for construction for 1,177 residential units, 115,000 square feet of commercial space, 140 key hotel room, hotel facility, and about 25,000 square feet of office space. So it's a very large project. We have roughly at any given time, our footprint is about, right now, about $1.2 billion in real estate development that is under our direct management. We're a fully integrated firm, meaning that we manage all of our own construction, we obtain our own financing, we do our own leasing, our own sales, and our own property management. So, you know, we live with what we create, so to speak, which is a very important aspect. We create these projects. We spend a tremendous amount of time at the front end to develop projects that we have a history of knowing will be successful, bar any unforeseen circumstance. And we work very hard to achieve and create the success of the projects that we're involved in. So it gives you a little bit of background on what we're working on in New York State. We also have multiple projects in New Jersey and also projects in Pennsylvania, around the Allentown, Pennsylvania area. So we have another probably 1,000 units or so. The current pipeline is roughly 4,000 or 4,500 multifamily residential units and roughly 750,000 square feet of retail-related space that's under development currently. EFG, our development partner, is essentially a brownfield redevelopment company based in Denver, Colorado. So they have the financial strength, the acumen, and the wherewithal to be able to handle one of the most important aspects of this project, which is environmental related work, and of course the ultimate demolition of many of the structures on the property, which I'll touch on shortly. Many of you know that part of the property has been qualified under the Brownfield Cleanup Program in New York State, and that's primarily what I'll refer to as the northern part of the property. For purposes of that description, we divide it into the north and south part of the property, and there are a lot of environmental related work that goes on a daily basis there, which qualified that part of the property for the program and will ultimately be cleaned up under the guidelines of the BCP program. What I'd like to do is give you, I don't want to get too deep into the details because there's a lot of them, and we've been at this for about 1.5 years. There's been a tremendous amount of work that's been done behind the scenes. It's a pleasure to be here this evening and officially launch the development of the project. We've spent the last 1.5 years analyzing all 55 buildings on site to determine the amount of asbestos in all of these buildings, lead paint, environmental issues, structural integrity, and so on and so forth. We've literally spent millions of dollars in the 1.5 years that we've owned the property to analyze and determine the development capabilities and options that are available to us, combined with our various consultants that have worked tirelessly over the last 18 months to get us to this point. So without further ado, I'd like to give you a sense of where we are currently with the master plan that's been submitted as part of our development application. So, again, we refer to the property as north and south, this being the north area. This is the south, just by way of orientation. Route 9 obviously is here, Hudson River, Marist College down here to the left in the south, and the Home Depot sits here on Route 9, just to give everybody a sense of the reference here. This plan is designed under the current zoning, which allows for, this is the maximum that would be allowed under the current zoning. And that is to say that there are 350,000 square feet of commercial retail space in the south part of the property. There are 750 residential units laid out here in the northern part of the property. And this is the what was known as the admin building on the property, which is designed under our plan to be converted to a boutique hotel of approximately 80 rooms. There is a demand in the marketplace for hotels, and we think the building is well suited for that. This is what was known formerly as the Great Lawn, which was an Olmsted-inspired park on the property, which was at that time approximately 18 acres. This site allows for roughly 46% of the property to be retained as open space. So, and there's 158 acres here, so you're looking at order of magnitude 60 to 70 acres of the property left as open space, which includes, and it's a little hard to see from where you're sitting, but the yellow lines on here are walking and jogging trails that traverse the entire property. So there's a lot of on-site recreation, passive and active recreation, and these trails ultimately will connect down through an old railroad bed to the walkway over the Hudson. We intend to restore the Great Lawn to the extent that we can determine what it was in its heyday and bring back the integrity of what was once a tremendous open space and a public area. Under our plan of development, there are 55 buildings on this site. We believe that, unfortunately, for better or for worse, or for location or functional obsolescence, 51 of the 55 buildings will be demolished under our plan. The 4 buildings that we intend to save are the admin building, which is approximately 80,000 square feet. There are 3 buildings to the rear, located roughly to the rear of the site, which was a chapel, a music hall, and a library, which will be restored to provide on-site recreation and community facilities for the residents. Again, this is the retail to the south, taking advantage of the adjacent retail, Home Depot, and everything to the south, and the walkability from Marist College, including new housing, which I believe right here is slated to, some of these buildings will be demolished and additional student housing be built. So making some connection here between the Home Depot and the retail with a tremendous amount of food-related service and retail to take advantage of the student population and the Route 9 traffic up into and through the Hyde Park area.
Nick, just from the front entrance from Route 9, give me some more details about it. It seems to be a very narrow entrance.
So currently, I don't know if we have we have an existing conditions aerial, George? Should we bring that? Okay. So currently, the existing entrance to the property is roughly about here. It runs off on an angle off of Route 9. If you were headed north on Route 9, you would just kind of veer off to the right and enter the property. What we've done is taken that entrance and actually aligned it. Again, it's difficult to see on the property, but this is Quiet Cove Park over here. This is a park that's owned by the state of New York and managed by the county. So what we're intending to do is align the entrance, which is the Hudson View Drive, directly across the street from the park, so that to take advantage, and we are in discussions with the Parks Department up in Albany. We've been there several times to discuss opportunities for restoration of the Great Lawn and some enhanced facilities at Quiet Cove Park to make the alignment here so that there would be an easier connection across Route 9. This will be some type of a boulevard entrance. It's really not well defined here at this concept stage, but we see nice wing walls that would be historic looking in nature, that would be exemplify what was developed along the way there during the Hudson Heritage heyday, and with some type of a boulevard entry here that would provide access to the northern part of the property where all of the residential...
Would it be a traffic light there?
We think that that'll likely be a traffic light. There is a traffic light currently here at the entrance between Home Depot and our property, but we believe that there will be a requirement for another traffic light here.
Well, I'm familiar with you. I know we met before. I think you guys do a great job. We did some research in the past. This is a big job. I think it might be one of the biggest jobs in the town of Poughkeepsie. It might
be a single development project.
And as some of the concern from the residents is that communication has to be the key to communicate with everyone, and I know you will do that. Thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll make this project successful. And like I said, communication has to be the key.
Communication is very much the key, and an interesting note that the lady that made a point earlier to discuss, for instance, demolition. The key is communication. These are public-private kind of partnerships in order to develop a project of this magnitude. Michael Zarin made the comment that a developer would resolve. You need resolve. These are difficult projects. There's a lot of moving parts. They're complicated. They're complex. They have every aspect of real estate development, from environmental cleanups to tremendous demolition. There are obviously a lot of factions here. SHPO, historic nature of buildings. We've met with SHPO on the site several times. It takes a lot of resolve and a lot of financial integrity to wade through a process like this. And we have the track record, we have the staying power, we have the tenacity, and most importantly, we have the desire to develop this community.
Yeah, you talked about before about you managing all the construction. Where are you going to get the jobs, the construction jobs from? Are you going to hire locally? What do you have a team?
I would say that currently in our jobs in Newburgh, in town of Newburgh and New Windsor, there's probably a good 70% of the trades that are working there are local trades. We're absolutely an advocate of local trades because they know the local flavor. They live locally. They can get to work easily. We do like to blend the trades with companies that have worked with us for the last 20 or 25 years so that they know the drill, they know what the expectation is, they know how to meet the schedule. Financing these projects today is very, very difficult. I happen to be a director at a community bank in New Jersey, a bank that's about a $4 billion institution. I sit on the board of directors. I'm chairman of the loan committee there. We understand financing. We understand the difficulty. We understand schedules. We know how to meet these various demands, and bringing in local labor is very, very important because local labor. This is your community. We're an outsider coming into your community.
No one outside. We want local, and right. And then I guess it's a great project, but. I think I told you last time, 700 units, we need to talk about that.
Yeah.
You know, it's, again, this is a plan that works in conjunction with the underlying zoning, so that the zoning was put in place before we acquired the property in December of 2013. We look at all aspects of a project like this, and it's not about putting, more stuff in the bag than is necessary, so to speak, but it is about what it takes to stoke up the financial engine to make a project like this work. You would be stunned to see the numbers that it's going to take to remediate and demolish the buildings here. So on the other end of that, there needs to be some financial viability in order to make these projects work. And not all of these issues are going to be easy. They're not all going to be palatable for everybody. But at the end of the day, I can assure you, and I'm happy to bring anybody on a tour that would like to do so, to look at the projects that we've built over the last 25 and 30 years. These are projects that you'd be very, very proud to see and appreciate and live in.
Thank you, Nick.
Anybody, anything else for Nick?
Yeah, just want to say we do appreciate the restoration of the Great Lawn. I think that'll be a really big attraction, especially for the administration building being a boutique hotel there. And it's ideally located with Hyde Park and the culinary just down the street. I think it'll be a big attraction. And my other question is about the commercial end of it. Do you have commitments from retailers already to move into? It looks like it's very specific, that you have ideas for certain retailers to go in certain spaces.
No, we don't. The way that these concept plans are developed are based on having the right team in place, based on our historical track record, the ownership of retail that we have, and just fundamentally what works that drives retail development. So no retailer has looked at this project from our perspective. We have not shown these plans. There are no leasing. There's no leasing taking place. There are no leases in place for any of this retail. This is what we believe is fundamentally a program for leasing that's viable and financeable.
Okay.
By the way, you reminded me that we also have a project in Hyde Park, New York.
Yes.
We have what's known as the River Ridge Townhouse project there, where we have the recreation package under construction right now. We're about to open up for sales. There's 130 townhouses there on the Hudson River. Is another one of our New York projects.
I have, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
This is going to be a very good thing for the north end of our town. I can almost picture myself on that great lawn, maybe on Memorial Day or the 4th of July, with a concert band down at the bottom of the hill and shooting fireworks off over the Hudson River. This is something that's going to be. This is going to be something that's going to be good. I went through the plan that's a very good instrument for us to go by, but in the draft HRDD, I understand that the main building is National Historic Registry. You can't do anything to it, as is the Great Lawn. But when I went through the plan, I saw that those items have been removed from the HRDD. And I understand this isn't, you're going to come back with a true master plan. I'd like to see those things put back in, just so we're sure and we're clear right from the beginning. So it doesn't come to be 2 years from now and we have to do this or we have to do that. I want to have it pretty clear right from the beginning.
In terms of putting back the buildings that,
No. Page 4, item 1 and 2C. 1 has lines drawn through, preserve as permanent open space portion of the HRDD property known as the Great Lawn, and it's drawn through on this, which means to me remove. 2 below it is adaptive reuse of the remaining portion of the national, but it's not saying.
yeah, I'm not sure what that is, Mr. Carlos, because the plan from our perspective clearly is to restore and maintain the integrity at a level yet to be determined for the Great Lawn.
I've talked with Neil at some length about this.
Yeah,
I'd just like to see it written into this.
Well, it actually is in there. The section that you're referring to is the existing language about incentives. The scheme right now is that there is a base of 300 residential units, and they get to 750 by providing for restoration of certain of the buildings, and that's what you're seeing here. So when the language of the preceding paragraph on that page 4 says that they get another 150 units by ensuring the preservation of the Great Lawn and adaptive reusing. So but it's an incentive clause that's coming out. Bill, I think.
So this is the incentive clause?
Yeah, right. And that's the language coming out. But I would like to point you to page 8, where what we did was actually add language. This is that paragraph E, additional design standards for national landmark buildings and contributing buildings and the historic Olmsted box landscape. And that entire section talks about ensuring that the development master plan is sensitive to and ensures the maintenance and the preservation of those two features.
So this is the area that protects those two?
This is the area that's relevant, right?
All right,
Yeah.
fine.
Right.
Anything else? Nick, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you to the entire team. It's
Nice project.
I think it's a good project, I agree, and we'll continue to work hard. Our commitment to you is to continue to do everything we can to help you succeed, so we're going to continue to work hard to see this project move forward.
Thank you very much. We're only going to get to the finish line with a team effort. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, did you want to come up and finish your discussion?
Yes, I was asked if I could just, again, briefly touch on some of the key components of the development agreement, assuming that all of you have had a chance to go through it. But I guess the two major items, as we talked about, is the inclusion of a concept plan and a proposed zoning. Again, those two documents are not, by voting on the LDA, you're only voting to accept those as conceptual and in good spirit. And again, they're subject to going through the entire review process. So you're not adopting a plan tonight, and you're not adopting zoning tonight. You're just saying, okay, this is a good starting point. This is where we'll start our studies. And any of those terminology or any of those things may change. Language in the zoning or parts of the concept plan are going to change as we go through the process. Either they'll come from you, they'll come from the public, they'll come from consultants. One of the things that you may not appreciate as much in this plan, but is an essential part of the LDA, is the principles of connectivity, integration, and open space. Now, when you do these types of bubble concept plans, it's hard to really get that feel, but when we went through the planning process and the concepts, and the LDA articulates this throughout, is that the concept is to create an integrated community between the residential and the commercial. Doesn't mean the commercial will only serve the residential, but there will be trails and paths and walking access, easy walking access that will connect and if you get up close, you can see there's a significant number of trails that will get developed and expanded and elaborated upon as we go through the environmental review process and site plan process. The other concept that Nick touched upon, of the 156 acres, 75 acres now is public open space. And again, as we go through the approval process, those spaces will get developed and programmed, and you'll really get a sense of feel for what those are and how they work, and then you'll get an opportunity to tweak them. As we would like an amphitheater there, we would like this here. We think it would be better if we did this, but that's one of the primary principles. Also, written right into the agreement is language, and we really didn't yet get to the level that we hope to get to as we go through the process, is public spaces within the commercial. So that it's, and this was something that we know that was a feeling of the board, and certainly that this not just be another strip mall, that it be the type of commercial that people like to come to and sit and congregate and acts as a community meeting place. And that will be very important with respect to integrating into the residential. So again, as Nick said, until you start really identifying your tenants and start evolving the project, you don't know the needs of each retail and how they'll be willing to design this store around public spaces and really work with that. But that's an integral part of the development agreement, and it's articulated right in there. The other parts that were touched upon today that are spelled out in detail, the whole demolition protocols, very important. Nick was a little, I think, humble and modest, but we're talking about asbestos alone being close to the $15 million range, and possibly full demolition being over 20 plus million. So when you start thinking about density and, those types of issues, you really have to begin to think of those are the types of extraordinary upfront costs that are completely independent of vertical costs and development that you need to have. And it's one of the primary reasons this land has sat fallow for this long. The way the zoning was written previously, it was a lot of incentivized zoning, and quite frankly, it was hard for developers to come in and get their arms around not knowing how many units they may be able to get up to. And they started 350, which wasn't enough to really finance the type of upfront development costs. What we tried to do is take out a lot of the absolute, thresholds, but give you, the board, the discretion. So, Town Board Member Carls, when you were talking about the Great Lawn and what that's going to look like, written right into the zoning, and the whole idea is the development master plan is the discretion of this board, within reason, based on real data, based on evidence, based on studies and the like. But that's going to be your charge as the board to really finish this development plan. And it's going to be, I think you're going to find it interesting, exciting, and you're going to have a good partner, I think, to work with, plus your own consultants. There's an escrow provision in here, so they have to provide an escrow fund that pays for the town to have their own independent consultants. So, we're working on your behalf and the project's behalf. We're paid for out of that escrow fund that's administered by the town. The money does not come from, it's not administered by the developer. The money gets paid to you, and then you decide how you want to use it for the escrow fund. You'll have traffic experts looking at the traffic data. You'll have your own planning experts, and different consultants looking at these things. If we ever get into any financial issues, real estate financial issues, we have municipalities. We've gone out and brought in our own real estate financial experts to look at numbers and to check numbers. And it's very important. I think sometimes if you need to go to the public and say, public says, no, cut it to 400 units. that sometimes it's good that you have your own independent experts looking at the numbers, so you can say to the public, no, we've looked at the numbers, and this is the type of density that's required really to make this project feasible. And that's an analysis that the developer will do, but you may want to have your own consultants verify those. We created milestone benchmarks for the process in this agreement. One of the important things of these types of projects is keeping momentum. As soon as you lose momentum in projects like this, they die. And they die sort of a natural death. The developer sort of, if the developer's dragging, the municipality loses their resolve. You have a lot of other important things that are on your agenda. This is going to take a tremendous amount of work on your part. If the developer is not meeting their obligations and turning out good product for you and pushing the process, you naturally are going to turn your attention to other responsibilities in the town. If vice versa, the developer's turning out things and we're not turning it around quick, or we're delaying, or there's an inertia that settles in, then they have other projects and other places that they can put their money and funds and resources. So it's very important to maintain a constructive momentum. There will be disagreements at times, but that's part of the process. It's a healthy, constructive tension. You have people you have to respond to. They have the lens and people, their constituency, and investors they have to respond to. And the critical part will be us respecting each other's viewpoints and finding the grounds and the resolutions that work. There's a dispute resolution provision in the disposition agreement that is also tries to deal with things in a amicable and cooperative manner. As far as process goes, just very quickly, this is a master development plan. That's your jurisdiction. This board has to approve an overall plan for the site. Once you develop that plan, it will then go to the planning board to really put, some of the real nuts and bolts into it that they're experienced and skilled at. What do the sidewalks look like? What type of lighting? What type of landscaping? Various maybe architecture. Different types of landscaping. A lot of the more details, but your charge is going to be coming up with what's called the master development plan. What I'll start with is a scope of study, what they have to study, and you're going to be getting a draft. Your consultants will look at it, and it will go through every one of the areas: traffic studies, stormwater studies, view shed studies, pedestrian flow, so economics, cost to the municipalities, all those technical areas. We're going to have to lay out for the developer, this is the information we want studied and how we want you to study it. You're going to hold a public hearing on that. It'll probably be your first public hearing on the project. Will be over what they call the scoping document. Once you come up with that scoping document, 20-page document that goes through each of these areas, what to study, the developer goes back and they assemble their team, their technical team, and they will provide you with a document called the Draft Environmental Impact Statement. It will be a voluminous, heavy-duty document, very technical, all the quantitative analysis that you need to make an informed decision. There'll be charts, there'll be photographs, there'll be traffic studies, there'll be analysis. Your consultants, we will look at it to deem whether it's complete and accurate. We will probably go back and forth with them once or twice, saying you need to, embellish this, you need to correct this, so forth. This board will review it, and the board will have to deem it what's called complete. That doesn't mean you agree with everything in it, but it's complete for public distribution. It will then go to the public on your website, library, clerk's office. Any different agencies will get copies of it that have a say, and then you will hold a public hearing on it. And the public will express it. You may get some agencies that send representatives, governmental agencies send representatives, Department of Health, DEC, SHPO, who may send a representative or may write letters. Then what happens is the developer goes back and there's a preparation of what's called a final environmental impact statement. That final environmental impact statement is your document by law, but typically what happens is the developer prepares the draft of it with their technical, and we go through the same exercise. We review it. Every comment that you receive during the draft environmental impact statement, public hearing, and written comment periods must be responded to, must be indicated who said it, and identified and responded to. And what happens typically between the DEIS and the FEIS is the project gets modified some, it evolves, it gets what we call mitigated. All those impacts that were maybe shown in the DEIS hearing, the project gets tweaked to mitigate those impacts and to address those impacts. And typically between the DEIS and the FEIS, I would arguably say it becomes a better project. And that's how the process is supposed to work. At that point, you will then make your findings under SECRA. You will take the final environmental impact statement. You don't necessarily have to hold a public hearing on that. It's not required by law. It gets distributed to the public, and the public gets to comment on it. You take it into consideration, and then you develop, and of course, we'll help you, assist you in your findings. That's the findings of this board, finding that this project mitigates all the impacts, negative impacts, to the maximum extent practicable, as well as you will comment on every area, every technical area, impact area, and discuss it as your findings, what you concluded on those. At that point, once you've done that, and the secret process is now complete, then you can vote on the master development plan. Once you vote on the master development plan, then it will go, as I said before, it will go to the planning board for site plan review. Now, one of the things that I know Neil is very committed to, and I know Supervisor, and we've tried to already bring in the planning board. We would like to have the planning board participate as much during this process, so it's a seamless transition. So by the time the planning board gets this plan, it's something that they've concurred with. They will have, one of the actions you're going to take tonight is a referral to the planning board. So you're going to get early feedback from the planning board, but we want them to be involved during the secret process. We want them engaged. So by the time this master development plan or site plan comes to them, this is something that they've supported all along and they've inputted, and now it's just a matter of finalizing. So tonight, that resolution that's before you is the authorization for the supervisor to sign the development agreement, a acknowledgement and receipt that you've received the master development plan, and that your intent to be lead agency under SECRA, that's the environmental review, because the master development plan is the primary action in this. Typically, the lead agency is the agency whose authority that's under. So for 30 days, we go around to other agencies, see if anybody else is interested. No one will be. You'll be the lead agency under SECRA, and then you will be authorizing a referral of this plan to the planning board, as I mentioned, and to the county for their general review. And for all practical purposes, that formally starts the review process, and welcome to what's going to become a big part of your lives in the next year, but could be very exciting. But it's going to be a lot of work.
Any questions for Michael?
The part of the SECRA review, that involves the school district, the fire district, all of those entities.
Correct. Part of the SECRA review is going to be How many school children will be generated by this project? What will be the cost per school children? What will be the impact on fire services? What will be the impact on municipal EMS, police, and those will all be quantified into actual numerical numbers. Then how much revenue will the project generate for the town? And then what's the net on that? Is the town, how much? It better be positive. The question is how positive, and that's a big part of it. So again, when you talk about density, you're talking about you're going to have costs, and then you're going to have revenue, and you're hoping is that. But that's a big part of the SEEK review, as well as the school district will get copies of all these analysis. The fire department will get them, the police department will come, and typically what the redeveloper will do is their technical people will meet with each of those services in advance when they're preparing the DIS. Good. And usually there are letters in the DIS from those, hopefully concurring with their analysis of the information that they're providing.
Right.
Thank you, Councilor. Appreciate it.
Through this process, the circulation for lead agency, which would commence tonight, this is the earliest stage possible to let those other agencies know, of course, unless they're watching at home right now, that this project is coming in the door and that we're about to start a very lengthy review process. And it includes schools, it includes the fire district and those other agencies.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, Michael, David, thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Neil.
Thank you.
Joe, I think we're up to you for number 5.
A resolution of the town board authorizing the town supervisor to execute the development agreement by and between the town of Poughkeepsie and EFG DRA Heritage LLC 2, acknowledging receipt of the development master plan application submitted by EFG DRA Heritage LLC and declaring its intent to serve as lead agency in a coordinated review of said application and all related actions pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEEKR. And 3, referring said application to the Town Planning Board and Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development for review and comment. Whereas EFG DRA Heritage LLC, EFG DRA, is the owner of the approximately 156-acre site of the former Hudson River State Hospital on Route 9 in the town of Poughkeepsie, the site. And whereas the site is located in the Historic Revitalization Development District, HRDD, under the Town Code of the Town of Poughkeepsie Town Code. And whereas EFG DRA is proposing to redevelop the site as a mixed-use, pedestrian-friendly residential and commercial development, known as a project. And whereas on or about June 5, 2015, EFG DRA submitted to the town board an application for development master plan approval and a petition to amend the code in furtherance of the project, collectively the application, and whereas in support of the application, EFG DRA submitted a conceptual plan for the site illustrating the potential development and uses at the site if the application were approved, as well as a petition for a zoning text amendment to modify the HRDD regulation zoning petition. And whereas prior to the submission of the application, EFG DRA and the town entered into comprehensive discussions and negotiations regarding the terms of the development agreement in order to set forth certain understandings between them with respect to I, commencing environmental review under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and its implementing Regulation 6 NYCRR Part 617 SEEKR. I undertaking the review of the conceptual plan, zoning petition, and all other elements to the project pursuant to the town zoning code, and all applicable laws and regulations. I agreeing to certain parameters of design flexibility intended to achieve the town's development goals for the HRDD site. And 4, EFG DRA pursuing the project in a timely and comprehensive manner, development agreement. And whereas the development agreement would require that the parties covenant in good faith to diligently and reasonably participate in the review of the project, but does not commit the town to any particular outcome regarding the project or future related proposed projects under SEEKR or any other laws regulating governing review by the town of Poughkeepsie, by the town of the project, And whereas the town board desires to commence the review of the project pursuant to the terms set forth in the development agreement, and whereas negotiating and entering into the development agreement constitutes a preliminary planning process necessary to the formulation of a proposed action, constituting a Type 2 action, not subject to review under SEEKR, and whereas the town board has reviewed the material submitted by EFG DRA on or about June 5th, 2015, in support of the application, including a long-form environmental assessment form prepared by EFG DRA's environmental and engineering consultants, and whereas the project is classified as a Type 1 action under SEEKR, And whereas pursuant to the Town Code, Section 21066C3, the Town Board shall declare its intent to be lead agency pursuant to 6 NYCRR, Part 16, for a review of all applications to establish or amend the HRDD Development Master Plan. And whereas upon receipt of the application, the Town Board is required to refer said application to the Town Board for its review and recommendation pursuant to Section 21066C1 of the Town Code. And whereas Section 21066C2 of the Town Code requires the Planning Board, within a maximum of 160 days of receipt of the application from the Town Board, to make a recommendation to the Town Board as to whether, in the opinion of the Planning Board, the Development Master Plan meets generally accepted planning and engineering standards for approval, and whether it is generally in conformance with the Town Plan. And whereas in addition to executing the development agreement, the Town Board desires to, I, declare its intent to serve as lead agency for the coordinated review of the application under seeker. I direct town staff to circulate notice of its intent to serve as lead agency to all involved and interested agencies. And I refer to the application to the Town Planning Board for its review and recommendations pursuant to Town Code Sections 21066C1 and 2, as well as refer the proposed zoning text amendment to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development pursuant to the New York State General Municipal Law. Now, therefore be it resolved that 1, the Town Board authorizes the Town Supervisor to execute on behalf of the Town Development Agreement in substantially the form presented by and between the Town of Poughkeepsie and EFG Heritage LLC dated as of June 17th, 2015. 2, the Town Board acknowledges receipt of the application and hereby declares its intent to act as lead agency in the coordinated review of the project under seeker. And 3, the town staff is directed to circulate notice of its intent to act as lead agency for the review of the project to all involved and interested agencies pursuant to 6 NYCRR Part 617. 4, the Town Board refers the application to the Planning Board for its review and recommendation pursuant to the Town Code, Sections 21066C1 and 2. And 5, the Town Board refers the zoning petition to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development pursuant to Section 239M ET of the New York State General Municipal Law. So moved.
Second.
For motion and second, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Number 6.
Be resolved, the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby approve the referral of the Road Apartment Project application for a zoning amendment from business neighborhood to residence multifamily RM district designated to the Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board for a recommendation pursuant to Town Code 210-154, and hereby consents to the designation of the Planning Board as lead agency for the seeker review of said project. So moved.
Second.
For motion and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Take a break.
You're up, man.
Okay. Whereas the Town Board have received a communication from Director of a Municipality Development recommending amendments to Chapter 210 entitled Zoning, specifically Section 210-64 entitled Country Clubs.
Oh, this was.
Go ahead, Joe.
This was Hold on, Joe. Just give it a second.
And action.
Okay.
Okay.
Speak nice and loud so everybody can
Okay,
hear.
great. Whereas the Town Board has received communication from the Director of the Municipal Development recommending amendments to Chapter 210 entitled Zoning, specifically Section 210-64 entitled Country Clubs, Fraternal Clubs, and Recreational Clubs.
Yep.
And whereas the proposed amendments are attached thereof to incorporate here, and the Town Board does hereby waive a verbal reading of said amendments, and does direct that said amendments to be spread across the record as if they, in fact, have been read verbatim. And whereas the action amendment to the zoning law is an unlisted action under New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and whereas the Town Board has determined that the proposed amendment was to be referred to Dutchess County Department of Planning, Economic Development, to the Town Board, to the Planning Board for review and recommendation, and whereas the amendments require a public hearing. Now, therefore, there be resolved that the Town Board,
1,
Town board hereby states, because of the only town board can consider and adopt changes to the town code, that is the only involved agency, and then the board thereby declares that the lead agency for purpose of coordinating the environmental review of this matter pursuant Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law. And 2, the town board hereby sets public hearing on the proposed amendments for July 22nd, 2015 at 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter come to be heard to the Town Hall, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. And 3, the town board refers this matter to Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development for recommendation pursuant GML 239-M. And 4, the town board refers this matter to the planning board for advisory report pursuant to the town code, section 210-154. The town board directs the town clerk to notify the town clerk for each of the surrounding municipalities for the public hearing pursuant to GML 239-NN. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, in reading this, we just recently approved for our country club to have fireworks, but when I read through this, there's nothing that prevents them from having fireworks displays. This is mainly a public address, loudspeakers, amplifiers, and also that they don't have exterior lighting that shines on the neighbors. So basically, this is just good for the residential neighborhoods that when we have these clubs and country clubs, that they keep their noise within their own boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. And number 8?
Whereas proposals were sought for Route 55 and Route 9 median mulching, weeding, spraying, and pruning for 2015, and whereas Daily Lawn and Landscaping LLC was the low proposer at a total of cost of $15,700, now be resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to execute a contract for such work at such price to Daly's Lawn and Landscape LLC upon receipt of proof of required insurance coverage, and be further resolved, the town board further finds that it would not be in the best interest of the town to solicit bids or alternative proposals or quotations for such services, and be further resolved, the town board does hereby determine that this is a type 2 action requiring no environmental review. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, Todd, I just want to thank you and Tom Iron for working on this, because for some reason, nobody wants to do these two jobs, especially the Route 9 issue.
Yeah.
And the fact that you got somebody to do it this late in the game when it's really starting to fall apart. And also, we've kept it under the budget. There's still money available on that line.
Yeah, what this is going to do is put weeding and weed control on Route 9 and Route 55, trim the shrubbery, prune the shrubbery on Route 9, and mulch the Route 55 median. And, it's 1.5 inches to 2 inches of black mulch on Route 55. So I agree with Jay, the medians, especially Route 9, are very cumbersome to manage and maintain, but hopefully this will make them look a lot better. We can always talk about mulching 9 once it's trimmed. We can't even begin to think about mulching it right now. Things are just getting too overgrown, so hopefully this will rectify that.
Actually, this isn't that bad of a price because the previous contracts did not include the mulching.
Yeah.
The mulching was astronomical, what they wanted for it.
I thought it was a good price for what we're getting, and
Hope it comes together.
something that needs to be done. We have money in that budget line still, so it's within our budget currently. All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Number 9, be resolved that the Town Board of Town Poughkeepsie does hereby accept with regret the resignation of Diane Levitt, effective immediately from the Historic Preservation Commission. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just want to thank her for her time and effort while she was here.
I agree. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0.
Whereas the Building Department of Town of Poughkeepsie has pursuant to Town Code 71-5, submitted an unsafe building investigation report dated June 9, 2015, to the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie regarding 25 Nemes Way, Town of Poughkeepsie, County Dutchess, State of New York, tax grid number 6159-01-120956, the premises. The owner of record being Neems Way Property Owners, LLC, 1 Croton Point Avenue, Croton on Hudson, New York, 10520. Shown that the building on the premises is dangerous and unsafe to the general public, open at the doors and windows, accessible to, and a haven for vagrants, trespassers, crime suspects, and illegal activity, and that is unsanitary and presents a fire and public health hazard. Now therefore, be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby waive a verbatim reading of attached report and does hereby adopt said report and directs that they be spread across the record as if they in fact have been read verbatim. Be it further resolved, public hearing on the order and notice, including the recovery, levy, and collection of town expenses as an ad valorem levy, will be held before the Town Board on July 22nd, 2015, 7 p.m., Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Whereas the Building Department of the Town of Poughkeepsie and pursuant to Town Code Section 71, Sub 5, submitted an unsafe building investigation report dated June 9, 2015, to the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie regarding 50 Nems Way, Town of Poughkeepsie, County of Dutchess, State of New York, tax grid number 6159-01-048975, the premises, the owner of record being Nems Way, Property Owners, LLC, 1 Croton Point Avenue, Croton on Hudson, New York, 10520, showing that the building on the premises is dangerous and unsafe to the general public, open at the doorways and windows, accessible to and a haven for vagrants, trespassers, crime suspects, and illegal activity, and that it is unsanitary and presents a fire and public health hazard. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby waive a verbatim reading of the attached report and does hereby adopt said report and directs that it be spread across the record as if it, in fact, had been read verbatim. And be it further resolved that a public hearing on the order and notice, including the recovery, levy, and collection of town expenses as an ad valorem levy, will be held before the Town Board on July 22, 2015 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Whereas the Building Department of the Town of Poughkeepsie has, pursuant to Town Code Section 71-5, submitted an unsafe building investigation report dated June 9, 2015 to the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie regarding 53 Nems Way, Town of Poughkeepsie, Dutchess, County of Dutchess, State of New York, tax grid number 6159-01-065967, the premises. The owner of record being Nems Way Properties Owners, LLC, 1 Croton Point Avenue, Croton on Hudson, New York, 10520, showing that the building on the premises, the building is dangerous and unsafe to the general public, open at the doorways and windows, accessible to and a haven for vagrant, trespassers, crime suspects, and illegal activity, and that it is unsanitary and presents a fire and public health hazard. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby waive a verbatim reading of attached report and does hereby adopt said report and directs that they be spread across the record as if in fact they had been read verbatim. And be it further resolved that a public hearing on the order and notice, including the recovery, levy, and collection of town expenses as an ad valorem levy, will be held before the Town Board on July 22nd, 2015 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Just wanted to again say, these buildings have been a problem for the town. They've been a problem for our police department, our building department. We've spent, the police department's made numerous calls there. Residents down there. So I want to thank Mr. Nelson for getting these on our agenda, and we'll see if we can have this problem rectified.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby accept the certificate of attendance for Peter Finelli from the Dutchess County Planning Federation for the course entitled Land Use Planning for Solar Energy, a copy of which is attached. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Whereas the orders to remit copies in which are attached thereof have been issued to for the property located in 2 Fairway, Town of Poughkeepsie, State of New York, pursuant to Chapter 159 of the Town of Poughkeepsie Town Code, and whereas the said orders to remedy have not been complied with, now therefore be resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby the set 8th day of July 2015 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Overrock Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, as for the first time is for the time, date, and place for a public hearing to consider a recommendation from the zoning administrator that the town or its contract remove and is needed to continue to remove all garden waste and fallen tree limbs, cut and continue to cut the grass to height not exceed 6 inches, and continue to remove all solid waste, debris, and litter, all the above property, so it will not become an overgrown and unslightly the cost in which work should continue to a lien and charge on the above real property until paid, satisfied, or discharged, and shall be collected the same manner of the town as other town charges. So moved.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor? Sarah, did you have anything you wanted to add? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Whereas orders to remedy, copies of which are attached hereto, have been issued for the property located at 16 Ridge Road, Town of Poughkeepsie, State of pursuant to Chapter 159 of the Town of Poughkeepsie Town Code, and whereas the orders to remedy have not been complied with, now therefore be resolved the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby set the 8th day of July 2015 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Overrock Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, as for the time, date, and place of a public hearing to consider a recommendation from the zoning administrator that the town or its contractor remove and, as needed, continue to remove all garden waste and fallen tree limbs, cut and continue to cut the grass to a height not to exceed 6 inches, and remove and continue to remove all solid waste, debris, and litter, all at the above property, so not to become overgrown unsightly, the cost of which work shall be constituted lien and charge on the real, upon above real property until paid, satisfied, or discharged, and shall be collected in the same manner as other town charges. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion?
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah, yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Be resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie has hereby approved the application submitted by Tomas Mackay. I don't know if I did that justice, but to hold a block party on Hills Terrace, 22 Hills Terrace, 248 Hills Terrace on July 4th, 2015, with a rain date of July 5th, 2015, from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., and does hereby authorize the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department Traffic Division to close said street, but allowing access for emergency vehicles from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. And be it further resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie has hereby waived the open container law in the event alcoholic beverages are to be served. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie hereby approve the application submitted by Colleen Flanagan to hold a block party on Orchard Park, Mid Street on July 25th, 2015, with rain date of July 26th, 2015, from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. It is hereby authorized the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department Traffic Division to close said street, but allowing access for emergency vehicles from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. Be it further resolved, Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby waive the open container law in the event alcoholic beverages are to be served. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Eileen's done this in the residents in Orchard Park for many years now,
yes.
so hope they have a good time. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby set the 8th day of July 2015 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Overrock Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, as and for the time, date, and place of a public hearing to consider an amendment to Town Code Chapter 195 entitled Vehicle and Traffic, specifically 195 sub 48, Schedule 8, parking prohibited at all times, which amendment would be as follows. Amended to read Section 195-48, Schedule 13, parking prohibited at all times. Longview Road west from Dutchess Turnpike, Route 44, northbound approximately 45 feet to the south edge of the driveway at 5 Longview Road. And be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby determine that this action is a Type 2 action requiring no environmental review, and be it further resolved that said local law, if adopted, shall become effective immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I want to thank Sergeant Gigo for helping me with this.
Okay.
Great guy. Very professional.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Joe?
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby grant special consent to the following items, to wit, 1, authorize from the Engineering Department, Town Clerk to advise for bid sanitary pipe TV inspections and cleaning. 2, consent from Planning Department, Lead Agency Planning Board, Rosewood Subdivision. 3, notification from Town Clerk Salvatore. The following claim will be referred to legal, Liberty Insurance Company, Katmani versus Town. 4, authorize supervisor to sign Community Development Block Grant 2016-2018 Dutchess County Consortium Amendment to 2000 Agreement. 5, approval, Block Party East Bank Road, and be it further resolved that upon the objection of any member of the town board, an item may be removed from the list and voted on separately. So moved.
Me. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby authorized the Town Clerk to advertise for bids for the sanitary pipe TV inspections and cleaning pursuant to plans and specifications prepared, which plans and specifications will be available on June 22nd, 2015 in the office of the Town Clerk, with a bid opening to be held on July 15th, 2015 at 11 a.m. It be it further resolved that the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby reserved the right to accept or reject all bids in whole or part, and it be further resolved, Town Board does hereby determine that this action is a Type 2 action requiring no environmental review. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Didn't we have one of these?
We've done, yes, we've done one, and we'll have more. We continue to need to inspect our sewer lines for I&I, which is basically rainwater getting into them.
Yep.
So this is a way to,
And we could decide, Joe, at
From
that
that.
point, if we're gonna slip line the pipes and then solve the infiltration problems.
I think I remember this conversation for you.
Were you going to mention the intermunicipal cooperation on this bidding?
I will. We're working with the Village of Wappingers Falls in Tri-Muni, Tri-Muni, right? With Tri-Muni. We've, they have some issues. We're working together to try to get a better price for both municipalities, and there's kind of an economies of scale here. So thank you for reminding me, but we are working together. Anything else?
One of the biggest things in the sewer districts are all the infiltration, the pumping and the leakage going through it. Like the Village of Wappingers, that's one of the reasons 9D's closed down. Now they had issues where some of the pipes have collapsed over years. They're filled with soot and other things. So it causes a major issue. They fixed this about 9 years ago, and it really cut back on the amount of water that they've taken in.
And Jay's right. Infrastructure is one of the things we can't ignore. Although these pipes are underground, and sometimes it's out of sight, out of mind. We are working hard to, kind of keep up with an old system. So we've been here. Town of Poughkeepsie is an old municipality, so it's a lot of work, but we're going to continue to plug away at it. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby consent to the Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board acting as seeker lead agency for the project known as Rosewood Subdivision, Sunset Avenue, Poughkeepsie, New York, tax parcel number 6162-05-085925 and 6162-05-092918. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, and number 3 is a claim referred to legal. Okay, number 4, whereas the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development of the United States is authorized under the Community Development Block Grant Program, CDBG, of Title I of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974, Act, as amended, and the Home Investment Partnership Program, HOME, of Title II of the National Affordable Housing Act of 1990, as amended, to make grants to states and other units of general local government to help finance community development programs, and whereas the County of Dutchess and the Town of Poughkeepsie cooperating municipalities entered into an existing cooperation agreement dated June 29, 2000, as amended to form the Dutchess County Urban County Consortium, for the purpose of undertaking the CD, BG, and home programs, and whereas the existing cooperative agreement must be amended as specified in Schedule A attached, and whereas the board deemed it to be in the public interest for the cooperating municipality to renew the existing cooperation agreement for 2016 to 2018 in accordance to paragraph 3 of the cooperation agreement, and enter into an amendment to the cooperation agreement attached now, therefore be it resolved that the supervisor of the Town of Poughkeepsie be and hereby is authorized to execute the 2016-2018 Dutchess County Urban County CDBG Consortium Requalification Ballot and Cooperation Agreement Amendment between the Town of Poughkeepsie and the County of Dutchess for purpose of undertaking a community development block program pursuant to Title I of Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended, and the Home Investment Partnership Program of Title II of the National Affordable Housing Act 1990 as amended. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Be resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the application submitted by Charles Tompkins to hold a block party at 30 East Bank Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, on June 27, 2015, from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., and does hereby authorize the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department Traffic Division to close said street, but allowing access for emergency vehicles from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., and be it further resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby waive the open container law in the event alcoholic beverages are to be served. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. And that brings us to the end of our agenda. I just want to welcome our town historian here tonight, John Pinna. John's been doing a great job with records and dealing with an audit of our historical records, and he's going to give us a presentation. When did we decide? September? Give me the whole in September, give us an update. He's been on board now for, I think, a year. So he's going to give us an update as to what he's been doing and how he's been working and all the progress that he's been making. So just wanted to mention that John was here. James, anything? All right. Brings us to the end of our agenda. I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for public comment on town issues.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Virginia?
Virginia Beakley, Windsor Court. I have like 5 quick items, but
Okay.
good news first.
Okay, good. We like good news.
I believe that's a picture of Peach Hill up there.
Yes.
And I just want to compliment the board. Many of you probably were not on that board when Peach Hill Park was undertaken. But it's one of the best things that this town ever did, and I hope that they support it in the future and for years and years and years to come. Because it's a wonderful place.
I agree. It's outstanding.
I visited often. It's lovely to have a quiet, passive place to enjoy nature and walk the trails.
And the Friends are going to be here.
Well, and I
in the
want to
next
thank the
month or
Friends
two
too. They
to
do a
give us a
beautiful job
report.
with that. The
They
Town
do.
Recreation Department,
Yeah.
Tom Meyering, everybody associated with that deserves a bunch of kudos.
Thank you.
I was just curious, is Mr. Zarin going to be special counsel to the planning board also, or just
Yeah.
special counsel to the town board?
He's going to be special counsel on this entire project for the town.
For both?
Yes.
Okay, and I wanted to compliment Mr. Zarin on the lesson he gave all of you, and thanks to video, the public as to how the seeker process works and scoping and DEIS and FEIS, and it will be very helpful to the public watching the video on YouTube. So thank you for the YouTube videos also. So I did that. Oh, and Mike, you gotta talk to your brother councilman over here. You know, we have enough fireworks on the north end of town. You know, there's at least...
Bill's a big fireworks fan, what can I say?
There's at least 4 times a year that we get Marist fireworks.
We have Vassar to get our share.
And that's Marist. This
Yeah.
is even closer to my house. I
Well,
really
I
don't
will
need
talk to
any
him.
more unless Marist wants to back off of a couple.
I'll talk to him.
Okay, great.
That's all you got? That's all you got?
Thanks. I think that's it.
Thank you, Virginia. Anybody else? Doreen?
Well, before anybody gets too excited about watching a concert or fireworks, while Mr. Zarin said that 75 acres will be open to the public for the Psych Center project, page 7 says it will be up to the parties to determine if these 72 acres will be available for use by the general public. So that is still to be determined. Also, when you talk about them potentially lowering the number of units, and, they always come up with the, economic or financial viability, please keep in mind that they will be getting state brownfield credits for the cleanup of the brownfield on the northern portion of the site. I don't know exactly how much it is, but the Dutton project received, I believe it was up to $18 million in New York State tax credits. So I'm not sure what it would be for this project, but when you're talking about financial viability, you should keep in mind that they will be getting brownfield credits.
Do you have any idea what the cost of the cleanup was compared to the 18 million in tax
But it's
credits
a
they got back?
percentage of the project.
All right. But, I mean, you don't know the number they spent out of pocket, though. I mean, I'm just asking, if you happen to know.
Do I know?
Yeah.
I think it was, I think I read either in the Poughkeepsie Journal or when Mr. Kaufman was here that it was $8 million at that point. But that would not include the Parkway portion, and I don't know if they potentially could get brownfield credits for that too, because that was a separate application. So they would be recouping their investment if that's what it was. And I will check and let you know for sure. And then the other thing is that in October of 2014, it was said by Mr. Manoia that $5 million would be spent on asbestos removal, and tonight Mr. Zarin said $15 million. So
I think the
that would
price
be
has climbed.
that would be a big jump from October to now. So again, it's not clear how much that is, but. Where is that Nems Way or whatever it is where all those unsafe houses are?
By Duchess Dodge. down there.
Yeah, down by Dutchess Dodge back, it's
Okay.
kind of hard to get to, but that's one of the problems. It's kind of secluded, so kids are finding their way to those homes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Doreen. Mr. Armstrong, I know you have something. We got to get you in the act here, so come on up.
Thanks, got some.
Small stuff compared to all this big stuff going on. On number 7, the code amendment, and I think it was said that people couldn't make noise and bother the rest of the community, something to do with the code, or the noise code? For number 7?
No, it's not the noise code. It's part of the zoning code, and it's specifically for country clubs, fraternal clubs, and recreation clubs. So basically, we're talking about sports fields and country clubs that if they have outdoor activities, especially outdoor activities that require loudspeakers and things like that, the noise stays within their property.
How does fireworks stay within their property?
No, the fireworks is not included. Fireworks was not included. That's one thing I checked, because we did approve for the country club to have a fireworks display July 5th. So that's on our side of the town, yes.
The number 8 with the maintenance of 55 and Route 9.
Yeah.
My suggestion is that Route 9, all that underbrush should be removed.
I happen to agree with you.
Totally removed, not only for the expense, but it always looks unkept,
I
no
agree.
matter what they do. I just think it's an eyesore, and it's just,
Yeah, it was the state's idea. I agree. I happen to agree with you. I think it's,
it
we're
is-
slowly
it
getting to
doesn't- yeah,
that.
it might have looked pretty when they first did it, but
Yeah.
since
Right.
then,
It's a
forget
nuisance.
it.
I know.
It's an eyesore.
Yeah.
Made it too heavy.
Couple other quick things, I think. Yeah, Dad did that.
Take some, and give it to Mr. Kitchener.
You answered that for me. I got that answered. I think that's all for now, guys.
Okay.
We'll
Thanks,
give
Joe.
you a break.
All right, thank you. Jake? How are you?
Wonderful, thank you.
Good.
Jake Simmons, 71 Davis Avenue. First thing, Joe, thank you very much for bringing up about the employment of local labor. And that's one thing I hope that we can, don't let up on it. Not only local labor, but when you get projects this large, you always have rental equipment.
Correct.
You know, trucking firms, all that. We've got a lot of that in the area. I know that, you know, when Vassar College built that, or is building that beautiful building, a lot of the labor was not from around here. And I know that it made a lot of people unhappy. But it's something that I hope the entire board will stay on as far as one of the, you know, a sticking point on this thing. The number two, as far as the eyesore on Route 55 and Route 9, I don't know what the price was. I think you said $15,000. Out of that $15,000, do we know what the mulch part of that was?
Yes, just under 10.
That was the price of the mulch?
Price of the mulch and to install it.
Okay.
I think it was like at 9,700.
I know that at the rate that most people drive by these things, you don't notice the fact that it's a colored mulch. I know that over the years we've had, you know, thousands of trees and stuff that we've chipped up through the highway. The big thing is not letting the stuff grow back through the mulch that we put down.
Right.
You know, the cost of the mulch, because of the dyeing of it and everything like that, I don't think it really much matters. I mean, we could actually put down wood chips that we have access to, and we could give to the landscaper at no charge, you know, at no cost to the town, and just have them install it. That's got to be a lot lower price.
And it's a good thought. One of the problems, and I can talk to landscapers, sometimes the landscapers have these days they have the equipment that actually blows the mulch in place.
Yeah.
And it's probably got to be finely ground, but, you know, it does, I agree with you. I think the important thing would be to have chips or mulch. This, you know, Jake, what he would be talking about is chipped up wood, so it would be a tan instead of a black, but, you
No
know,
one's really
maybe.
going to notice the color of it.
Yeah.
And like I said, the big thing is, I know that we all put it down in our yards every year. You
Yeah.
know, and you always have to put it down again because it just
Yeah.
kind of flattens itself down with, you know, with rain and you know, the sun and everything. You don't get that with the wood chips. And you can't do the wood chips like in parks and things like that because people complain about bugs and everything. No one's going to care on Route 55 and Route 9. I just think it could keep the cost down substantially with using something that we already have at hand.
Yeah, well, it's a good point. We'll definitely look into it. We can talk further about it, and I can talk to the landscaper and see, you know, what I would probably, you know, we'd need to get a labor price from them, see if it made enough of a difference to make it work. But it's a good thought. I hadn't even thought about it, but it's a good thought.
All right,
Thank
sure.
you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Oh, Mr. Casement.
I'd like to bring up again about that Ridge Road thing.
Yeah.
Now, I got up here and said how it was a public safety type of thing, and you just passed it without any discussion, and it'll be put up for public hearing a month from now, and then they'll have another month to do something about it.
If you want us, what I told you when you came up the first time is I talked to the attorney about considering whether it's public safety and seeing if we can move on it quickly. If you want us to get the process rolling, we had to do what we had to do. You know, we had to set this public.
Getting that in place for you.
Tonight. So we can still, he and I can discuss and look at that location, and determine whether it's You know, it can be a public safety issue and we'll do it quicker, but we needed to do this tonight to, at a minimum, let's say he tells me it's not public safety. If we didn't do this tonight, then you're waiting for the first meeting in July just to set the public hearing.
Okay, I just thought because
Yeah.
you passed it, you couldn't do it any sooner.
Well, I'm
No,
going
we
to
got
talk
the
to
ball
him
rolling
and
out.
see, there's the man. We'll see what he has to say.
Yeah.
Public hearings.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
thank
All right,
you.
pal.
Yes, sir, all the way in back. These people in the back just paid for the cheap seat, so, and as he works his way up.
Bob Gorman, 15 Hawkins
Hi,
Street.
Bob.
It always seems that I come before the board and I always have issues and some negative things and problems, but I just wanted to say thank you to the town board, the town government, the town highway department for cleaning up Fairview and Fulton prior to the marathon. I practiced that route a couple of times. I said, boy, this could look a lot better. And we're going to have a lot of people who are on a showcase. Mark went above and beyond, cleaning the triangle, little blacktop. Todd, you got involved and got, an intern involved. And I don't know if Parks and Recreation were involved in that at all.
Yeah.
But
Thank you,
it was a concerted effort. And I just want to say thanks because that did make a difference, especially with the blacktop coming around that corner. And that hill was a bear. I also know that you took some heat from about the overtime budget for the police. Well, this public event, it's a great opportunity for the town to showcase itself. And what a better way to spend money, whatever money is budgeted, instead of doing it for a crime scene. I know you also have money for crime scenes, obviously, but this is a positive thing. And it could very well be double the amount of people next year. So you had 5,000 people throughout the route. It was a great day. So thanks again.
Thank you, and Bob did successfully run the half marathon.
2 hours and 17 minutes.
Oh, very good.
Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I was at the Gold's Gym water station, and it actually went very smoothly. I was on the full marathon end of it, and it went very smoothly. And we had 2 ambulances parked there most of the day. Nobody ever used them, and I believe we had an aid station there, and there was only 1 bag of ice that they used. So it actually went extremely well.
Nice
There's only a few people at the Marist Boathouse that needed some attention because of the heat toward the end of the day, but it was very enjoyable and low key, low cost. So
And
thank
I
you.
also like to say that the police department did an excellent job because at the entrance of Marist College, at 6 o'clock in the morning, everybody wanted to get in, and the police, town police did a great job to maneuver the traffic and then trying to make sure that people were getting, I believe there was some issue on water as well on the river. But the police, I think they did a great job, and it was a great event. I mean, it was such a great
Because of the
event.
storm, there was a tree down that was blocking Route 9 too. So that was highway and police that got involved in that, so. But the guys did a great job, so.
Thanks, Bob. Anybody else?
I just wanted to mention that George Lithgow gave me a letter, which I passed out. He emailed it late in the day.
Okay.
Yep.
Just so you don't forget.
Okay, thank
He
you.
couldn't be here, so he has to hand it in.
Anybody else? Seeing no one, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town board adjourns at 8:56 PM.